So you've had your Advant dressing machine for a little while now. It's getting a little dirty, getting a little grimy. Maybe the tool holder isn't going in and out of the spindle smoothly anymore, or maybe it just won't hold that tool holder quite right anymore. It's probably time to pull this spindle apart, clean it, and get it back together and get it back brand new. I'm gonna show you how to do this in this video. Check this out. All right, to pull this spindle apart and get the internal workings out of it, there really isn't a whole lot to it. But to start, it'd be best if you got your manual, get your manual out. Inside it, you should have a bill of material to kind of give you a better depiction of what you need. We have a pair of pliers, crescent wrench, Allen wrench. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that the machine is powered off, e-stopped, and everything's removed out of the tool spindle. Now, we're ready to remove this belt cover. Now that we remove the belt cover, we can go in and actually remove all the internal workings out of the spindle. And you do that by simply removing this nut right here. Word of advice, these can be difficult to remove. Sometimes it's really cheesed in there, or it's just really tough to get a good bite on it. Don't be afraid to use a wrench or a pipe wrench to hold on to the front of the tool nose spindle to help yourself break this nut free. It is a right-hand nut, so once you get that broke free, it should screw out just like a normal nut or bolt would. Now once you're done screwing, the whole assembly will come out. All right, so you got the internal assembly out of the spindle, it's time to clean it. So first thing you'll do is we're gonna focus in on these jaws. We're gonna start with pulling the fingers right off. They just rock right out of the locator. Pull them aside. This is gonna be really grimy. I'm sure it's gonna be full of debris. We gotta get it all cleaned up, get it looking brand new. On here, you have this O-ring on here. That's ultimately what holds the fingers open. Replace it. Just put it, if you got it apart, let's just put a new O-ring on it. Let's get it cleaned up. Let's get it looking brand new and make sure it's fresh. So once you have that all apart, this part of the assembly cleaning is done. Now we can move to the spindle. So coming in from both sides of this spindle, you're gonna wanna get in there and scrub, use some rags, use some degreasers, whatever you need to get in there and clean out. There's a little counter bore in there that you can feel where these jaws sit and this top of this edge sits in that groove. You gotta get it clean. That's the only way that these fingers are gonna open and clear out of the way. So get in there with what you need, clean it, scrub it, get all that debris out of there. All right, so you got everything cleaned up, you're ready to start putting this back together. Word of advice, don't use any type of wet lubricant like a WD-40 or any type of oil lubricant. Start with a PTFE, some type of dry lubricant that you can spray in on all these components, inside the spindle, on your locators, and let it dry. Just let it sit and dry the way they recommend you using it. Once that's done, you're ready to start. Throw your new O-ring back over your locator and reset your fingers. It's maybe a little tedious. You gotta kind of rock them into this O-ring. You might have to use like a little screwdriver or something to help set these. But once they're all in there, they hold themselves. These are put back together. Now you're ready to make sure that they action. They should spring down and come right back up. They should have a nice, smooth movement. You're now ready to take this whole assembly and load it back into that spindle. Part of the reassembly, it's the same steps as disassembling. However, there's a little bit of advice I have for you when it comes together. These jaws need to be in a closed position for them to go back into that spindle. I recommend using a rubber band or a string with a lead on it, something that you can hold these jaws closed until you can fish it through and then cut that and remove it out. So this is closed, we're gonna throw it back into the spindle. Got that through there? We're gonna screw it back in. I'm not gonna tighten that up yet. I'm gonna use a scapula or something sharp in there to get in there and try and cut that. Once you got it kind of loosened, then you grab something to snake it out. I personally like string over rubber bands, but once you can get in there and reach for it and grab it out, you get it out of there. You're now ready to tighten this up and test it out. So reverse your process, tighten up that nut as tight as you can go, and let's test it out. Let's make sure we got those jaws in there and they're actuating the way they should be. Now you can put the belt cover back on and you're good to go. Get it dirty again. All right, you now have the information you need to disassemble and reassemble your spindle on your dressing machine. So get out there and use it and abuse it.